والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Many of you, especially if you were here last year, you can already guess what I'm going to talk about. Zakat al-Fitr. Zakat al-Fitr this year is how much? Thank you very much, Ali. Zakat al-Fitr, as our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam assigned it, is one sa'. Well, brother, what is a sa'? A sa' is basically like this. This is 1 gallon. A sa' is 4/5 of a gallon. Like about here, if you want, you're giving sadaqah. If you have extra, fill the whole gallon. That is what the Prophet ﷺ taught us to give. The reason why we give Zakat al-Fitr is because the Prophet ﷺ taught us to do it, and that's what he taught us to give. According to Abdullah, the son of Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anhuma, he said, فرض النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم صدقة الفطر على الذكر والأنثى والحر والمملوك صاع من تمر أو صاع من شعير. He said the Prophet ﷺ assigned Zakat al-Fitr to be given by the male and the female, the freedman and the slave, 1 sa'. He said a sa', okay, that's the amount, but what a sa' of what do you fill it with?
Dates.
What he said?
Barley.
He said tamr aw sha'ir, that dates or barley. Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, this is also in Sahih Bukhari and Muslim, he said, كنا نعطيها في زمان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم صاعا من طعام أو صاعا من تمر أو صاعا من شعير أو صاعا من أقط أو صاعا من زبيب. In the time of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, we would give it 1 sa' of barley or 1 sa' of dates or 1 sa' of aqit. Where's aqit?
I don't know.
You know what aqit is, brother?
Yeah.
What is it?
I think it's like they shake the milk and they foam. They put it to dry. It's kind of like a dried butter, something like that.
I have some at home, but I forgot to bring it. It's, the brother sells it at the Afghani store. It's I think they call it curds or something like that. It's no. It's not exactly what it is. For all practical purposes, it's the same thing as powdered milk because you can carry it with you and you can put it in water anytime it becomes like milk. Inshallah, I'll show you some one of these days. Inshallah, I have it at home, but I forgot to bring it. Raisins, dates, barley, wheat, or dried milk. What do all of these things have in common? These are all things that basically people will call staple foods. They are like a main part of what people eat, and they can be, well, what do you call it? They're non-perishable. They're non-perishable. They're not like some things you give to, and it has to be eaten within 1 day, otherwise it will be ruined. What a staple food is, it can differ, it does differ from a time to a place. These things that were given in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, they differ, though in weight. 1 sa' of rice, 1 sa' of barley weighs different from 1 sa' of dates, from 1 sa' of raisins, and they are different in value. The price is very different. Then and now. Like, for example, here is the price of, and this much dates, is it the same as this much raisins? Which one is more expensive? Raisins are more expensive?
Dates.
In this country, dates are way more expensive. You would assume in the time of the Prophet ﷺ in Medina that it would be the opposite. Right? Why?
Dates are common, raisins aren't.
Because they grow dates in Medina, but not raisins. Where's the closest place where they grow raisins?
Palestine?
In Taif. But they don't grow raisins in Medina. So you would assume that they don't grow grapes. You would assume that raisins would be much more expensive. Still, they would give the same amount. Some people would give it from dates, some people would give it barley, some people would give it in raisins. Some people would give it in that dried milk. What are things that you can give here and now? Here are some examples of things that are staples. This is a staple in where we live right now. And this much, I haven't tried opening it and pouring it into here, but if you get 2 of these, this is inshallah at least a sa'. That's one thing. A soup like this, if you get 5 of these, that is almost exactly 1 sa'. If you want to add a little extra, get something like this. There's also these things.
Oh yeah, ramen noodles.
Pasta. And these are, if someone is, their budget is limited, these are very inexpensive. And this is a bag full of them. This is way more than a sa'. If you want to make sure that you give a sa' of anything, an average grocery bag like this, if you have it packed full of something, it's definitely, you know for sure that you've given a sa' or more. Other examples of things are like stuff like this macaroni and cheese. If a person is only able to give, these are the things that I know in this country for the general population, these are the things that are most useful. If somebody's only able to give just plain pasta, that's as long as they know that it's going to be used by the recipient, they can give an amount. It's equal or more to 1 gallon. There is a general principle that we learn in the Quran when we give charity, when we give anything, we should give the same type of thing that we take for ourselves. That's in the Quran, right?
Yeah.
You nodded, so you have to say. Who knows?
البر.
That's a good point, but that's not the specific ayah. أنفقوا من طيبات ما كسبتم ومما أخرجنا لكم من الأرض ولا تيمموا الخبيث منه تنفقون ولستم بآخذيه إلا أن تغمضوا فيه. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us to give from the good things that we've been given, and this is in Surah Al-Baqarah, and not to give the lesser things, things that you wouldn't take, that you would only take grudgingly. If it's not something that you would buy for your own self or your own family, the things that you go out and buy for yourself and for your children, when you go shopping, those are the types of foods that you should give in Zakat al-Fitr. You shouldn't buy something, give something less than that. And that's from the Quran. Who has to pay Zakat al-Fitr?
Every member of the household.
Mm-hmm. Every member of the household. It should be paid for every member of the household. The husband and the wife and the children, even if the child is an infant, the head of the household pays for everyone in the household. 1 sa', the equivalent of 1 sa' for everyone in the household. Who should it be given to?
مسكين.
فقراء والمساكين.
مسكين.
A poor person who is in need, and there's no shortage of them in our community and among our neighbors. And testimony of that is the fact that we have all of these food banks and soup kitchens around our city. If you know of a family or an individual in person, get your zakat and deliver it to their doorstep, give it to them by hand, drop it off. If not, you can give it to one of these food banks that knows how to distribute the food. This is something very simple to do. To do exactly, if you want to do exactly what the Prophet ﷺ told us to do, it's something very, very simple to do. If you want to be conscientious, it's very simple. Even if I'm not going to measure out exact, I can make sure that I know I've given at least a sa'. I don't have to be nitpicky if I want to be conscientious and make sure that I've given at least what the Prophet ﷺ told me to give. This is something very simple to do. I would discourage everyone from giving the money to us, not because we're bad stewards of, don't worry about it. I'll talk to the Imam and he'll make the salat short afterwards. Not because we're bad stewards of the money, inshallah, but it's much easier for you to get, at least here and now, it's much easier, it's much simpler for you to do it, and to do it exactly the way the Prophet ﷺ taught than it is for us. It's easier, it is. It's easier and simpler for you to do it than it is for us. No one should think that if by giving us the money that you're giving it to someone who is more competent than you. It's actually much more difficult for us than it is for you to do it individually. I'm the Imam of the Masjid. I didn't give $10 to the Masjid to pay last year to give zakat. I bought foods and I dropped them off at someone's doorstep. This is very simple for everyone to do, and I encourage everyone to do this, not only to make it easier on the Masjid, but because there's a blessing in doing this. This is part of the ritual of Ramadan. This is part of the worship that we do in Ramadan to end the month, is to take food and deliver it to our neighbor, our brother and sister in need. This is not something you would want to deprive yourself of. It's not an experience you would want to deprive yourself of. When should you pay?
Before Salat al-Eid.
It should be delivered before Salat al-Eid starts. If you can deliver it the night before Salat al-Eid, that's the best thing. There is a tradition of you giving it for a day or two before that, if you need to. That's assuming that you're doing what I'm talking about, buying food and giving it away. Food, as the Prophet ﷺ instructed us, doing something different than that, giving away money, it makes it much more complicated, and Brother Khan will. That's a whole other story. That's not what we're talking about tonight, inshallah. What we're talking about is basically the way the Prophet ﷺ taught us to give Zakat al-Fitr and how we can do it, and that's something very simple that we should all try our best to take advantage of doing it personally by our own hands. Jazakumullah khair. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت وباركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك